Damn, man. So yeah, Justin, I haven't talked to you. I actually haven't talked to you in what, man? It's been, oh shit, it's been like almost a year since the last time we actually talked, huh?
Like face to face, it was whenever I was coming back from LA and I stopped off and
We stopped and we linked up at in the
we got like
collection.
we got drinks or whatever, yeah. And
Yep.
that's the last time we ever saw each other face to face.
Right. So you were an intern at Procore at the time when I was running the intern program. We'll get into that. The first thing I want to start off with is you have your own podcast now.
Yes.
The 20 something. Listen, we gotta do what we can to cross market here, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
shout outs all the way.
Shout out. So the 20 something podcast. Tell me what that's about, where people can find it, and why I should listen.
Yeah, the 20 something podcast is something that so I think all of senior year I was trying to figure out stuff that I would want to do outside of work, right? Because
Senior
I'm
year of
going through the
college.
recruiting process. Yeah, so this is my senior year of college in UCSB. A bunch of stuff is going on, but I am thinking about, what am I going to do after I graduate? What's going to be the plan? Looking at jobs, stuff like that, right? So I'm trying to think of things that I could do outside of work that would keep me productive, that I would like to do. Because I didn't want to just work 40 hours a week, punch a clock, and then, not have any other hobbies or things that I could do for fun.
Right.
And so I was trying to think of things that aligned with like my skills and my talents. And I was talking to people, giving people advice and just kind of having perspective for people. So enough people had kind of told me I should give it a shot. So I was like, you know what? Am I allowed to swear on you?
Oh yeah, for
Honestly.
sure.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just said, fuck it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a podcast. I feel like it's right up my alley. It's exactly what I would want to do.
Right.
And so the 20 something podcast is based around, it's an interview podcast based around 20 something year olds, varying from topics, because I started to think about it. I was like, damn, what's crazy is that everybody in their 20s, from the time that they're 20 to they're 30, go through completely life altering changes, events, they meet people. So there's so much stuff that goes on, right? Like I have friends that are married, that have kids, some that are in the military, some that are still in school, everyone's doing their own thing, right? So you split off into all these different directions. And I figured, there can be an outlet for those types of people that need help with certain things, whether it's financial, professional, personal. And even if they can't relate to a certain type of topic that I talk about on the podcast, I think it's good. It's a good resource that people can use to add perspective to their life and understand what other people have to deal with. And so yeah, I think it's a great tool to kind of help each other out. It allows people, younger adults to kind of have a voice, and also have a resource that they can go to with people that they can relate to, if they need it. And so that's available on Spotify, iTunes, or, whatever people listen to from Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And Simplecast. But yeah, this guy right here was a big reason why I got into it. So I was asking questions, trying to figure out, how you started yours. So that was like a big influence for me, because it was the first time I saw someone that I knew actually doing a podcast. So you kind of laid out the blueprint for me, and I was like, oh, if he's doing
You can
it,
say it. Just say it. I'm an inspiration.
Yeah, he's an inspiration to everybody. Like from the time that I started working with you, I was working under you. You awesome guy, crazy. Just let everybody that listens to this, let them know, like Ox is the truth for sure.
Hey man, I'm proud of you for number one sticking with it. You know how many people have said, "Oh, I want to start a podcast," and never actually, go through with the steps. So, I'm proud that you push through that initial phase of actually starting something, and then starting it, you kept going with it. The quality, I think, has really improved on your podcast, and so I'm proud to see you do that, and I think your project idea is really cool. I think you're going to appreciate this a lot more when you're like 30 and 40, and you go back and re-listen to what you thought was. You know what I'm saying? What you thought or what your friends thought was important, or just how much you've evolved from these points. So I think this is a really important timestamp and really awesome. What did you think would be the outcome versus how has that changed now from your project?
Yeah, I mean, I actually get asked that question kind of a lot. And so like Basically same thing as you. People were just appreciative that I actually said that I was going to do it, and I did it, and I'm really happy that I did do it. And so, anyone else that wants to do something like that, it's just like you just got to go fucking do it.
Right.
So I think for me, the outcome, I literally didn't have any true expectations going into it. I was like, let me see if I can do it. Let me see if there's like people will find an interest in it. So my main goal was to just start and talk about topics that I felt like were really relatable to me or that were relatable to my immediate friends, because I
Hmm.
felt like a lot of my friends from college, travel in a similar professional realm. And so I was like, let me see if I can just do something to help my friends or see if people find this interesting. And then I always said, if it blew up, it blew up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it helped, at the end of the day, it just needs to help people. And looking at it now, like it still hasn't changed. Like I just got back into doing it because of the pandemic, and
Hmm.
I was doing it more like in person,
Hmm.
and so it's the same thing. Like, and I've gotten feedback. I think the biggest thing though is I've gotten feedback from people. People have given me topics that they want to listen to, and even people have randomly messaged me and said, "Hey, that was super relatable. I actually really appreciate that you did that." And it's only like what maybe 7 to 10 people that have personally reached out to say that, and I've gotten like props from all my friends and stuff from going out. But like, even if it's just 7 to 10 people that I didn't know, they said it helped them. I think it's cool. I think it's worth doing. It makes me feel like
Absolutely.
I made an impact on something bigger than myself, which is cool. I mean, that was the whole point.
Um,
Eventually, if someone wants to pay me for it,
right.
with Joe Rogan style,
Right.
I'll happily do that. But until then, it's still fun to do.
Right. You do something for the money, you're gonna be disappointed every time.
Yeah.
And then just before we hop off the podcast topic, is there like a moment, a story, or an episode that like is a highlight for you, or like that was like
That's a good one. I think, I mean, the first episode in itself was had to be a highlight when I actually interviewed someone and went through that whole process. I
yeah,
agree with you. I had no fucking clue what I was doing the first time. I
right,
was just watching YouTube videos and trying to see like how you're supposed to carry yourself and all of that. So,
yeah,
I mean, that in itself was a good memory, setting up everything and having that first conversation was dope. But I think my favorite one has to be the one I just did. It was a
mm,
group podcast with all of my homies from SB, and we talked about maintaining relationships after college. And I just felt like it resonated. It was very genuine conversation. It wasn't really structured, and so and people still got something from it. There
mm.
were still people that messaged me and appreciated putting it out. And yeah, I like the reaction of the people that come on on the
Oh yeah,
podcast too.
for
They
sure.
love, like, they're so nervous, but when it's all over, like they love like having the chance to do it. And so I like being able to put people on too.
It's therapeutic too.
It
Y'all just get
is.
to talk. It's probably the most open, you know, I'll say guys will be with each other. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. And we talked about that. We talked about it on the episode too. We're like,
yeah,
yeah, guys don't tell each other how they feel, blah, blah,
right.
blah. But it was like throw a couple shots in us and throw on the record button, and everything was all good.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're going through that. So let's start back from the beginning. The beginning will be high school. You went to Monte Vista, right, in Cupertino, California.
Mhm.
What kind of kid was Justin Cena, freshman year of high school? What did he think of his world at that point?
I feel like I thought, I don't know. I don't really know what I thought going into high school. I think my life was pretty easy, up until that point. I didn't struggle really much, throughout my childhood and things like that. So,
Born and
uh,
raised in Cupertino.
born and raised in Cupertino.
Okay.
So parents are very blue collar, but, raised me very comfortably, only
Yeah.
child type of thing. And so, um, I guess I was nervous going into high school. My middle school like split, so I didn't
Mm.
know a lot of people when I first came in. But I've always been the type of person you kind of know. I'm very out there. I'm not really afraid to talk to people.
You always been like
So
that?
always been like that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's since I was a child. And
Mm.
so yeah. I mean, after the first couple of days, you kind of get into the routine of it. I was playing
Mm.
sports, and it was fun. I felt like high school, unlike some for a lot of other people, high school was really easy for me.
Mm.
In terms of the social aspect, I
Mm.
enjoyed meeting everybody. And so yeah, I mean, freshman year, wide-eyed, talkative, just trying to
Yeah.
make friends, kind of just like everyone else. Just depends on how you go about it, I guess.
And you focused on baseball, and then at what point did you make the crossover to football? Because that became kind of your main sport.
Yeah, I mean, I played baseball since, like, the time I was like 3 or 4, and that was like my everything until high school pretty much. Once I started playing football, organized football,
Yeah.
it was kind of over at that point. And then football basically took over as the number one. And then
Yeah.
I stopped playing baseball at the end of my sophomore year. Part of
Mm.
that was because of like coaching and just kind of culture
Always.
and structure. Yeah,
Always.
just
It's
like
always it's always a coach in high school that kind of ruins the sport.
yeah, it was yeah, it was a little bit. It was like a perfect storm. I felt like at that point I'd been pushed so much in my baseball career to
Mm.
go do that in college, and that be my kind of thing. And I was playing every weekend. I was missing chances to go hang out with my friends and stuff like that. And I just wanted to
Right.
be a normal kid. And so that was kind of the perfect storm to say, you know what, I'm fucking done. This guy can fucking fuck off. I'm over it.
Right.
And then I'm just gonna focus on football, and that's kind of what I did. And I wanted to go play football in college, so I just focused on that. The next 3 years, 4 years.
So you like? I'm reading some material online. You likened yourself to uh, Derek Jeter.
Where'd you find that?
Don't worry about it. I did research, my guy. I did
What
research.
the?
Am I right
I don't
though?
even know what you would have found that off of. I mean, yeah. My my dad was just damn, bro. You creepy as hell. So. Just called that research. You found research that I don't even remember. That's crazy. Oh man. Now I know why you asked me that question before we started. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
my dad was a huge Yankees fan growing up, and so for me, I'm always attracted. Like the people I idolize the most, I think, growing up were always natural born leaders.
Mm.
So I felt because I fit kind of that mold and that was kind of like who I wanted to be, I was more attracted to the people that led by example, but also like you could tell that they could back up everything that they said and
Hmm.
were very vocal. So yeah, I mean, that would be a great way for me to describe it. I feel like, he was the perfect balance of let the game do the talking, but he was also going to kind of let you know like who he was, and everyone knew who he was, and all that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
so yeah, definitely for sure.
See the little podcasting trick. You have some information and you help lead the horse to the water. And then once it's there, and then so
Yep.
you switched over to football. You said that college football was something that you wanted to play. Did you have like a dream school in mind, or you said high school was pretty easy for you? Was the academics like really was that top tier for you as well? Like were you knocking it out the park GPA
Well,
wise
for
as
me,
well?
I wouldn't say I was knocking it out of the park. So think about Monte Vista, it's super competitive. So I was like a 3.3 student, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
average kid at Monte Vista is like a 3.7.
Mm.
And so for me, football, I feel like I had unrealistic and realistic expectations. I figured from the unrealistic point, I thought, I could ball out and, the offers would start rolling in if I played well. But I had a realistic expectation of the schools that would recruit me. So in my mind, I was thinking things like UC Davis or Cal Poly SLO or San Diego State, something that was like
Right.
Division 1,
Right.
but they weren't going to national championships or anything like
Right.
that. And so Monte Vista is not a football factory. It never will be a football factory. I don't
Right.
care what anybody says.
You put up
Um,
numbers though.
yeah, and that was
You
the
put
thing.
up
Like
numbers though.
people,
I watched these highlights. I watched his highlight videos. You put up some numbers.
as I say, that's the one thing I wouldn't be surprised you could find online. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, everyone going in would tell you that Monte Vista is not a football school. This and that. And so I figured if I just played well, because I'd seen other players play well,
Mm.
and they went to smaller schools. I just figured I just need to play better than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And to a certain extent, I feel like I did that. I did it my senior year, so it was a little bit too late on the later end.
Mm-hmm.
Junior year, I didn't have the season that I would have wanted. But yeah, I mean, to be real, like I was breaking records and doing my thing senior year, and I felt like I felt I was having fun, like I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
School, I was doing well enough in, so like I would never stress out about school, and
Right.
I felt like when I was applying to schools, I was like, oh, if I was going to play football anyway, I have a good enough GPA to where
Right.
it won't really matter. A 3.3 GPA and
Right.
playing ball would be fine.
Right.
And but yeah, I mean, I got a dose of reality where I realized there were coaches coming from D1 and D2 schools to come talk to me, but just because a recruiter comes to talk to you does not mean that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get an offer. And that's kind of what happened. I started to realize that interest is very surface level, and if you're not a top level recruit, you really have to go to the schools to kind of convince them to give you a chance.
It's like dating.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can't just like shit's not just gonna come to you.
Did
And
you
I
know
think
anybody? Oh, go ahead.
I was just say I think based off the season that I had, I think I let it get in my head a little bit too, where I was like,
Mm.
oh, they'll come to me. Like I did my thing, they'll come to me. It's not the case. You do need to go to a football school and put up the numbers.
So did you have like a coach that was really helpful for you, or did you have someone that you know that played football in college? Did you know a coach? Like, did you have any type of like guidance from the next level at this point here? Because the reason why
I'd
I
say,
asked that is previous interviews I've had with college athletes, they've experienced a situation where the high school coaches held them back for whatever political reason,
yeah,
or they just didn't have the adequate guidance. They thought because of their numbers and because of their school that they'd be able to make almost wherever anywhere they wanted to go. So
yeah.
what was your journey like?
I mean, I think it was a combination of both. I mean, like I said, even though you have coaches that definitely played somewhere at some point, if you're not at a football factory school, there's not a lot of coaches coming around to check people out anyway. So the coaches' connections did not run as deep as for the schools that I would have wanted. A lot of the schools where people would play, if you'd graduated from Monte Vista and went to play football to school, there were certain schools that people would usually go to. So like I think like Willamette in Oregon, or um, some of the school like Chapman down south, or Redlands down south. So like D3, like still great programs, but those
Hmm.
were like where the coaches' connections kind of lied.
Hmm.
And like I said, I wanted something more. I wanted to play at a school that I thought was D1 material, and
Where
I also wanted
you
to,
could find their hat at lids at least.
yeah, and I wanted to actually, like, I wanted to go to a school. I still wanted to go to a school that I want to go to. Like football. I wasn't just going to go to some jank school
Right.
that I didn't like
Right.
just to play football.
Right.
So I would say I really did not get much help from my coaches in the recruiting process up at all. Me and the head coach never really saw eye to eye, and I was just I don't know why he kind of had it out to get me, or like if he just wanted to push me, whatever it was, but he never really gave me any leeway, and I think he just kind of let me get away with what I did because I played well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the coaches were really, to be quite honest, weren't much help. My dad did most of the heavy lifting on that. We opened up like a recruiting account. He
Hmm.
was sending stuff out to schools, and
Hmm.
it was also my fault. Like I was lazy. I did not
Hmm.
take the time to email coaches like I should have. I did not take
Right.
the time to, send out those tapes, to make calls and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I mean that was definitely on me, and my dad did as much as he could and definitely got some interest. But at the end of the day, it was just like I was being too cocky and saying those aren't schools I want to go to. I'm not going to go, and that's kind of how it went.
So looking back, like on the alternate path where you did that part right, just jumping back to junior year, and then obviously your senior year you ball out. What would you have done differently, knowing all the information you know now?
Um, Knowing everything now, I would have pushed my coaches to actually play me in more games, like finish games,
Mm,
because we were doing well, like so well, we would get pulled out kind of early.
right.
And I honestly think about it, like I would have wanted to pad my stats. I needed something more noticeable
A
than
lot
what
of
I had.
players do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could have, I mean, I think I finished with like 1,600 yards. I could have broken 2K. That could have, kind of put some more people on notice. But yeah, I would have asked my coaches and pushed a little bit harder for them to kind of um, help meet me halfway, because I had um, the University of San Diego and Sac State came to visit me,
Hmm.
and they were both Division I AA programs. And I
Hmm.
sat in my coach's office for those meetings, but
Hmm.
he never really did much to help me send transcripts or to really talk me up. It was mostly
Yeah.
me having to do it myself. But yeah, outside of that, I would have just grinded with my dad on the outreach process more. Um, and that's pretty much it. Because I mean, I went to community college to go play ball to transfer. Like that was my alternative, and I got hurt. So there's not really much you can't
How
really
much
do anything about that.
how much
So
decision making? I mean, was Deanza the only option for you, or was there other community colleges in the area? Because I know there's a couple really good ones in San Francisco too.
yeah, I
Why'd you
mean,
go with Deanza?
yeah, I mean that was like my consideration, right? You want to go to same thing. You want to go to a powerhouse, not, or like at least a reputable school that can play ball. I wasn't really sure getting into it. So my plan at one point, I was like, I didn't get into any of the colleges that I wanted in California, right? So
Hmm.
I was going to go to the University of Arizona, and my plan was in my head. I was like, oh, I'm going to walk
I'm a
on. I'm going to
walk
play
on,
ball.
easy, Rich
Yeah,
Rod. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I seen people do it, right? And
Right.
then I went and visited, realized they didn't give a shit about me.
Uh,
I realized I went to orientation. I hated the school. And I was like, what am I going to do? Pay $35,000 a year to go do this shit?
All
And
right.
so I pulled out like midsummer. And then by then it was so late. I was like, all right, I'm going to go to De Anza and start, grinding for school and then join football and see how the first year goes. So my
Right.
plan was see how the first year goes. And depending on what the program looks like, maybe transfer to another community college, because I also wanted to go to a community college that would give me the best chance to go to a good school too,
Right.
just for academics. And yeah, so I chose De Anza first. I mean, they ended up going 0-10 that season.
Did you
I
get much?
didn't play.
I was about to
I
say,
got
okay.
hurt. I didn't play. I got hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I think it all worked out. But
Right.
in hindsight, if I like went back, I would have went to another school. I would have probably went to either SF or San Jose, because San Jose had some guys that filtered into Cal,
Yeah.
and I felt like they were at a level where I could actually get playing time. So
Now, I might be editorializing a little bit, but I feel like I graduated high school '09. You graduated high school a few years after me. Um, I think that my year or the year below me were kind of like the last 2 years where there was a really, really big social pressure stigma on having to go to a 4 year institution right after high school. Whereas I think the years kind of like after me, it made a lot more sense to go to like a DN, to go to a Laney, go to a CC for a couple of years until you get into the school that you actually really want to go to.
yeah.
What was there something like, was that something where you like there was no social stigma on that? Because it was a stupid thing that people in my grade and above had to deal with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there was nothing but a stigma about going to community college in Monte Vista. If you go to one of the top
Mm-hmm.
10 public schools in the country, you're supposed to go to Berkeley, you're supposed to go to
Stanford,
UCLA,
Harvard,
Stanford,
yeah.
and that's where all my friends are going. And that's the thing that I struggled with. That's when I think things started. I think that's when life finally started getting hard for me. When I
Mm,
started realizing that it wasn't not like I ever coasted my whole life, but
yeah,
there were just people out there, at least on paper, school wise, that were better
yeah.
than me. And so my friends all went to Berkeley, UCLA. The amount of kids that we had go Stanford or went to, um, the all the top tier universities, it was incredible. And I just didn't. I said I got rejected from all of them.
Right.
I didn't on paper did not have the ability to go to one of those schools. And yeah, I mean, people let you know. They let you know, like, oh,
The
if you go
little
to
passive
community
aggressive
college,
ways too.
yeah, no, it's not even passive aggressive, bro. It's like you're stupid if you go to community college.
Yeah.
Like all you do is smoke weed, like
Right.
you don't have any direction, like all this type of stuff. And I felt like being someone that was such a motivated and
Hmm.
hardworking person, like if I want to do something, I'm like relentless about trying to get it done. And
Hmm.
so I was very self-conscious. Like I knew everyone was kind of judging me. I became the kid that was like, "Oh, you were the kid that was really cool in high school and then went to community college."
Oh, yeah.
And that was tough. And I mean, it kind of sucked, but when I was in community college, it kind of made me more motivated to get it done. So I was pushing through courses like crazy. I was maintaining a 4.0. I was doing my thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, my whole experience there was I shouldn't have gone about it this way, but it was more of like a revenge thing or like a fuck you type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like a
And
good chip on your shoulder, man.
yeah, yeah. And then, but when I transferred finally, and I kind of like set in with my friend groups, I realized none of that shit mattered.
Right.
I realized, like I needed to let go of all of that negative energy, and
Right.
like it made no sense to get all riled up about opinions of people that I don't see anymore, or in general, right? Like I'm doing
Right.
my own thing, they're doing their own thing. There's no reason I should take time to worry about what they're thinking about me.
Which is a very mature ought to be able to have it at your age at that point, by the way. Like it takes some people their entire life to realize that
Yeah,
other people don't matter. It's about me and what's best for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
So obviously UCSB has no football team, so that means at some point you kind of gave up on the football dream. So what happened there?
I mean, I gave up on football my freshman year.
Okay.
I had a pretty, I think I had like my fifth or sixth concussion.
Oh,
When I
damn.
was the summer before the season started, and that had me really bad. I was dealing with like constant symptoms for the remainder of my entire freshman year. So I was not, they said like, oh, you could go back and play football at some point, but one wrong hit that could spell, serious, serious permanent damage to you. And I was like, like at some point you got to kind of just realize that I'm not going to the NFL. I'm never going to make any money off of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dream, and I got to at least play for 4.5, 5 years, but I have other things that I need to take care of, which was school. And so yeah, I mean, school freshman year was super tough because I had to sit at the front of the classes. There
Yeah.
were special guidelines for me because I was struggling so much with like focus and visibility.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of deal with that, while also trying to maintain, 20 something units a quarter and
Jesus.
stuff like
Wait,
that. So
five concussions. Did they make you walk around with a foam helmet too?
we
So
did that
you
in
didn't
high
bump it,
school.
so you didn't bump into anything?
Bro, I mean, you look at all the research that has gone into concussions and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that's diagnosed. Like there's players that even like just normally in like any head-to-head hit, like you can get micro concussions
Yeah.
and you wouldn't even know it, but your brain is, building up um that
The
damage,
bruise, yeah.
essentially. And so yeah, I would say like 5 to 6 that we would know about that I had to sit out because of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely rough, but it pushed me to. I was like, well, I have to work harder. It's either that or I'd stay in community college and be the stereotype that everyone
Right.
thought I was going to be. So,
Right.
sink or
So
swim type of stuff.
so then how did you decide on UCSB? What was the, because everyone gives the same answer, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, that's funny. Much like everyone, a lot of other people I know, UCSB was not my first choice. So
Hmm.
when I went to community college, my mindset was I'm gonna blow all these motherfuckers out the water. I'm
Right.
going Ivy League. I'm
Right.
going to Berkeley. I'm going to
Right.
UCLA. Like whatever. And I did that. I got a 4.0 and I got into UCLA and felt
Hey.
like I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
But I ran into some personal issues that was like really heavy on my mental health.
Hmm.
And I was mentally, I was not in a good place.
Hmm.
And so I took time off from school when I mean, I shouldn't have. I should have been doing stuff to deal with my problems better so I could have stayed in school.
Right.
But I didn't meet the minimum requirement of units that I needed to transfer. And UCLA was like,
Mm.
that sucks. Yeah,
Oh.
we're pulling your admittance. And at that point, I was like kind of over school. I like didn't want to go back. I
Mhm.
eventually did end up going back. I finished my last couple classes. I applied for the following fall, and I got into all the UCs except I didn't apply to Berkeley, but I got into all the UCs except for LA.
Right.
And I tried my hardest to try to fight, the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And one of my best friends was at UCSB at this point, and I asked him, man, I was like, "What do you think, man? Should I go to SB or should I go to Irvine?" And
Right.
it was the day I was supposed to commit to a school.
Right.
So if I let that day pass, I wouldn't have gotten into either of them.
Yeah.
And I did not do any research to choose the school. He's like, dude, because I was so devastated. I was devastated by
Right.
UCLA, so I was
Right.
like, I'm over it. Like
Yeah.
I don't care where I go. And he's like, come to SB, man. It fits you 100%. You'll fucking love it. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
Yeah.
Put in my intent to transfer to that school, and then the rest was history.
Did it fit right away, or did you have like a learning curve?
It was an immediate fit. I feel like it was my chance to kind of like reintroduce who I was to people because community college was such a very lonely like 2.5 years. I didn't talk to a lot of my friends. I
Yeah.
wasn't making friends. And so I was going through a lot on the mental side. And
Because
it
like
was,
also
I was,
like Dean's as a commuter school also, right? There's not as much as a community where UCSB is like that's the whole everybody's
yeah,
there. Yeah.
everyone's there.
Yeah.
It was the perfect storm for me. So I
Right.
got there and I rushed the business fraternity that my friend was in,
Right.
and I got to see how everyone interacted with each other, and I
Hmm.
was so excited. And it felt like I got to be myself again. I could just talk to people and just get to know them and really want to see what people were about. And yeah, it worked out perfectly. I got a bid. I got accepted. I made a bunch of friends, and now at this point I'm like I literally could not see myself going into LA because I
Hmm.
visited friends in LA, and just the
Hmm.
structure of the school, like you said, commuter style,
Yeah.
is really not for me. And I think as a transfer, SB gave me the best chance to make the most of my 2 years
Right.
and to like really make me feel comfortable. So I mean, yeah, I mean the amount that I did in 2 years at SB, I feel like some people don't even do in four.
Yeah.
So it worked out so perfectly. I don't really believe in, when people are like, uh, everything happens for a reason, or
Yeah.
like these pre-planned paths that you take. Like I don't
Right.
really believe in that shit because it just tells me that like my choices have no real meaning.
Right.
But I will say that's like the one of the real times in my life where I felt like it was kind of meant to happen.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was such a dope experience.
And then finally, kind of where our lives intersect. So you took an internship your senior year at my company,
Yeah,
right?
junior summer going into senior year.
Junior summer, right? Junior summer. So that's after your first full year being there. Why did you end up picking pro? Why did you end up picking Procore?
Bro,
And
that's
what did you? Because like a sales intern, I mean, like, okay, from my perspective now, being out of business, I went to business school at my
mm,
college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't have any internships. When I was applying for internships, I applied for anything, right? And it's like, it's so clear to me now why they didn't select me back then, because I didn't
mm,
have a passion. I didn't know. I just wanted to make money somehow, right?
yeah.
Um, and so looking at someone that applying for a sales internship, that kind of, no offense to me, that kind of, it's like they don't really know what they want to do, but they kind of want to get their
Mm,
foot in the door. They could go the sales route, but to me,
yeah.
it was like an opportunity for y'all to really learn everything around the company and make some money. So, what did you
Yeah.
think you was like? Why did you pick Procore, and why, and and how was that for you?
Bro, that's such a funny story actually. Like I had no idea what fucking Procore was.
Oh,
I had no intention to even apply to Procore. What happened was I got an internship at Continental.
okay. Oh
Literally the
yeah.
same parking lot. So you guys share a parking lot. You guys
Right.
rent out one building for them,
Right.
right? And I landed a marketing and business development role. And
Mm,
so basically like I was gonna be helping create like certain like presentations and things for like road shows
yeah.
and basically working on like their, like their LiDAR system tracking,
Which
for car
sounds way
sensors
doper
and
than
stuff.
what you did.
Yeah. And so initially, like off the bat, I was stoked about it.
Yeah.
My friend got me my friend referred me. I nailed the interview. I was gonna stay there for the summer. And so the crazy thing is, and this is part of the things that I like. This is like the experiences like this that I have is why I like doing my podcast.
Yeah.
Is I I emailed the person after I got the job offer, and I simply just asked. I said, hey, there was one course over the summer I was thinking about taking.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could do 35 hours in the office and like
Hmm.
5 hours remote.
Yeah.
And I said, but if it's not, that's totally fine. I'll be in
Yeah.
the office. I'll just take I literally said that in the email. I said I would
Yeah.
take the
Of
course
course.
in the fall quarter.
Yeah.
I get a call a day later from the recruiter says, yeah, the hiring manager is pulling your offer, doesn't want to move forward with you. And
Hey, that's a
I
horrible
started,
lesson.
and as a transfer, it
Yeah,
was
that's a horrible
so
lesson.
I was so caught off guard, and I felt like I was so behind.
Yeah.
I needed an internship going into my senior year, right? I
Right.
need some type of experience so I'll be competitive in the recruitment when
Right.
I'm graduating. And I just remember on the phone with her, I started crying. I started bawling. I was like in disbelief because I'd worked so hard to land that. And I like begged her, and she's like, it's not up to me, like, blah, blah, whatever. He emailed me back like maybe 2 weeks later, some short bullshit ass response to my apology and like if there was any misconfusion. And this was 2 weeks before school ended. So I needed to
Hmm.
find an internship in like 2 weeks.
Right.
And someone in my business fraternity said, oh, we have a bunch of people that interned at Procore. Like,
Yeah.
go talk to these people. They know the recruiters over there. And
Yeah.
then that's when one of my friends gave me Will's email. I
Oh
told
yeah.
them
Yeah.
this person referred me. What can I do? Is there still time to interview? And they're like, oh, well, we have business develop. There was like a BD internship, and there was like another internship. I forget what it was, but I wanted the other internship. But he
Hmm.
said that we had already gotten somebody, so he's like, I can put you in for the BD internship. And I went and interviewed BD. Sales fits my personality, but it's not where my passion lies. So
BD's
I knew
business development. Yeah.
yeah. So I knew I could do well in I could do well in the position, but
Hmm.
I could learn a whole lot of information being at the company.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I took it. Luckily I got it. It came down to the wire. I had to turn down other offers of places that I ended up interviewing at because I really wanted Procore,
Yeah.
low key because they were going to pay me the most.
Right.
And yeah, that's how we met pretty much. Crazy how it goes.
Were you for part of my first class? Was that the first? Was that the first time I was working with the intern program? It was the second time,
It,
second year.
it was the first summer,
Yeah.
second onboarding class. So you had all the
Right.
semester kids,
Right.
and then I came back in. for the quarter.
So what did you think you was going to get out of that internship, and what did you walk away with?
I got exactly what I knew I wanted to get out of it.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to get paid for the summer. I knew
Right.
I wanted to get experience on my resume so I could have something with
Yeah.
tangible accomplishments. But I knew I was gonna network the fuck out of my time at Procore. I
Which you
knew
did.
like,
I
yeah,
was very happy you took advantage of that, because that was one thing that I tried to get in every year of every intern is don't be the all-star at your one job you're here doing.
absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the whole fucking point of an internship. Yeah, even
Hmm.
if you know you're interning for something you want to do, it
Hmm.
never hurts to learn what other people do in other departments, right?
Right.
And so me going in knowing I'm not going to do sales for the rest of my life, chances are I'm
Yeah.
not even going to do sales after I graduate. I
Yeah.
want to know what product managers are doing because I want
Right.
to be a product manager. I want to know what customer success managers are doing. I want to know what all the managers are doing
Yeah.
because one way or another, at some point, I want to be a manager.
Yeah.
So I want to know what the fuck you did to
Yeah.
become a manager, and I want to know what traits that you have right now that are making you a successful manager.
Right.
And I got to talk to some dope people. I got to talk to the the head of business development who got hired on in the same class as me. I think his name
Hmm.
was Ian.
Oh yeah.
I got to network with a couple product managers, a customer success manager, the sales managers, and so I met a shit ton of people, and some became friends, some became good mentors. Like you became a mentor. I had a couple other mentors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I killed it in exactly what I wanted to get out of the internship. It
Absolutely,
was
man. Biggest takeaway from that summer.
biggest takeaway is like I think no matter what, a lot of stuff is what you make of it.
Right.
Granted, Procore was a dope company, and I think they have a great culture. Um, I think two things I would say. So yeah, pretty much if you aren't liking what you're doing, it's A, what you make of it, and B, what you're doing to change it.
Yeah.
I'd also think that at more of a concrete level, I think Procore just told me what I deserved in a company.
Mm.
The expectations I should have for what I think is a good culture. What I think is a great opportunity to learn from other people. And that's what I said. Like I felt like I was never frowned upon for reaching out to other people, which
No.
is super dope. And so yeah, it set the expectation of what I would want in a company after graduation, and it's exactly what I have right now at Wish. They're very similar in a lot of respects of what they allow me to do
Yeah.
for them and within the lines.
I gotta know, because I'm very critical of myself. What was the worst part of the internship?
Ugh. I think, and this is not to be disrespectful to any of the managers in the sales department, but I think there was a certain level of unpreparedness
Absolutely. You
that
were the first. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they said that they were like, oh, we're the first, non-technical intern group that they've had. And
Yeah.
I just felt like there wasn't a lot ready for us when we got there. It was like take your kid to work day and you didn't know what to do to make them busy, so that they wouldn't bug you. And that's kind of what the first few weeks felt like.
Yeah.
It was a lot of I mean it taught you to be a self-starter
Right.
and watch resources or video resources that they gave you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But people were so busy doing their thing, like even the mentors didn't know that they were going to need to be like really watching over their person. Like granted, for me, Ian was dope and taught me a lot, and I still talk to him and we're cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a management perspective, it took like 3.5 weeks maybe before we really started getting into the whole calling scheme,
Yeah.
learning the systems. Even then, the leads that we were contacting were not the best.
Qualified. Right.
um I think we still killed it,
You
but yeah, I
guys
think
did
being
kill it. You guys absolutely did kill it. What you all did though, um, and the feedback that y'all gave, you like 1,000% helped the next year's interns. Were way better set up for success,
yeah.
and they blew your numbers out of the water only because they were better prepared going in.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I think from that
Yeah.
perspective, like that's the whole point, right?
Right.
Like it would be one thing if they came in and they weren't prepared for us and we still made the most out of it. And the thing is if you do that and you come unprepared the next year, if you didn't take what we said or the advice that we gave or like just the metrics that you saw,
Yeah.
and then they had another mediocre run, then there's something wrong with the system. There's something wrong with how people like how the company's approaching it. So that's dope. I don't even take that as an insult at all. I
No.
mean,
Yeah.
you laid the groundwork so that we crawled so people could walk, and then they walked so people can run. So
You put the team on your back. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And then last thing I'll ask is like, what was the craziest part about working at Procore? Because
Craziest part.
I know how crazy that company is. Just like I'm concerned for every intern that works there because I doubt that there will be many places that they will work at as nice as that as Procore.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, it sets the expectation high in terms of what you look for in a company. And I mean, for one, I would say working in the sales department was crazy as fuck just because it was like the dudes there were loud. We were always doing stuff. We were always yelling,
Yeah,
like cheering, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I had never seen a work environment like that. And
yeah.
especially for a company as reputable and in terms of growth
Right.
and expectation, like they put up crazy numbers and from revenue and just from the unicorn in terms of doubling their size. And to see the guys just work hard and play hard, that combination was like blew my mind. I didn't think that you could have fun like that and also produce numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty crazy to see too. But everything else, I mean, yeah, just the sheer, you see how good you have it before you a company IPOs, like the number of perks that you get, all the things that the company does to kind of make you feel like you're really having a good time. All that stuff. I mean, you have a fucking snow machine that comes once a year and you guys do like the fuck, who does that?
Yeah.
You get
What water shortage?
gourmet lunches every Wednesday, like all that stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was insane. It felt like I didn't want to leave, it was wild.
First time I ever had filet mignon, dog, was at lunch at Procore.
And that's the come up. That's the come up.
Hey
Yeah.
man, so you graduate, you finish that internship, you have a better idea of what you want to do with your life. You finish up college. Um, you knew you wanted to go back home, or you knew you wanted to go back to the Bay. I mean,
Bay for sure. Yeah. I mean, at some point in college, I think in community college, I was like, yeah, I want to go to LA because I
mm-hmm.
was stuck in the Bay. When I was in SB, I was a little bit stuck in between, but every time I visited LA, I was like, I can't see myself living here. So yeah, by the time I graduated, I was like, I need to go home. I need to go get a job in tech because that's what I want to do, build that out and see where it takes me. And that's exactly what I chose to do.
So tell me, because we've talked about kind of three phases of your life right now. Tell me something from football that helped you be prepared for the journey of working at Wish right now, because you've been there for a little bit over a year now. It looks like you've moved up the ranks pretty quickly here. You're now a business operations team lead, right? Um, you've been in the sales org for some time now, which over a year at a tech company these days is great, especially in
Yeah.
sales. So
Yeah.
so so what's something from football? What's something from your days at Dianza, and what's something from your internship at Procore that has helped prepare you for the your journey through your current company at Wish?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess starting with football, I mean, you could say all the stereotypical things that like sports, like team sports and stuff teach you kind of growing up and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the thing that taught me about football is more tied into the downside that I had with football, realizing that, um, you know, you're not going to be given anything just because of, what you do before you get there or, even your ability, like you have to go out and produce.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that chip on my shoulder kind of taught me really coming in. I was like, because I came into that org as a contractor. So I
Mm-hmm.
was not full time when I started. And so I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was like, all right, I'm bottom of the barrel. So the only
Mm-hmm.
place I can do, or only place I can go from now is up.
Right.
But I need to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do and I'm taking the initiative to kind of do that. And so it started off kind of like basics, like they called it sales, but it's not really sales. And I've been able to learn so much about the program by
Mm-hmm.
just my genuine want to learn more because I want to use those knowledges to become a manager, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say the downside of realizing that football didn't owe me anything, I kind of took that into the job world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no one owes me this. Like, yeah, they hired me. They don't owe me shit. I don't even technically work for them. I'm a contractor from another company.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, and then would you ask my time at SB or my time
Your
at
time at Dianza, because it seems like you went through some mental maturity.
Yeah, my time at Gianza was more, yeah, I mean, that was more mental growth. I realized that life isn't going to be fair to me. I realized that things kind of happen for no reason and you can't really explain it and you can't really get too caught up on why things happen.
Hmm.
Things just happen, man. Like life just kind of throws you shit sometimes and you just got to learn to deal with it. Life isn't fair to a lot of people. And so I realized that going through all the stuff that I went through in community college, that life really isn't as bad as I made it out to be. I have so many more reasons to be happy than I do to be sad. And even
Hmm.
though I still have my bad days, at the end of the day, I have way more good days than I have bad days. And community college taught me that, if I can get through that stuff at that age, I feel like I'll be all right, moving forward. Even if I deal with something worse later on, I know how to deal with it now.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, Procore, I mean, Procore just gave me the first real experience that I needed to get of what it's like to be working in a tech company. What is the expectations when you're working for a multi-million or a multi-billion dollar company? What do they expect of you? What do the internal functions look like?
Yeah.
How does the cross departmental functions work, which is
Right.
why I wanted to network so much.
Right.
All those little things and just that being there, being a part of that team really taught me what I should expect and what I should bring to the table when I go work full time.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like I said, all of that, I think every lesson I think I've learned at each of those levels, the biggest thing is I will get as much as I give. And people hear that all the time, but no one wants to take the initiative, right? You said it too. A lot of people say they want to do a podcast or they want to, lose 30 pounds. They want to lose 50 pounds. And
Right.
it's like saying it is never going to
No.
fucking make it happen. You
No.
could speak, the only way you speak something into existence is by doing it. And that's what all of these like different lessons at the end of the day has kind of taught me to do is like the only fucking way I'm going to get to wherever I want to be is if I just take the time to learn and go do it.
Hmm.
And it's worked out pretty well so far. I'm hopefully cross my fingers I'm on track to
Right.
become a manager within 18 months of being in the company. So,
That's an amazing. That's I mean, your ability to stay focused on the task at hand is something that shouldn't be sort of under the rug, man. Like that's not something that a lot of people, especially in our generation, kind of have. Now, I think you're a little bit lucky in the sense that you were able to graduate, you were able to get your internship out the way, and you're able to get a job that you are stable at before the shitstorm of 2020 hit.
yeah, for
For
sure.
for example, my sister's is a senior in high school and is a
Hmm.
freshman in college, and it's like this is almost the worst time in history to be a kid because you're never going to get this time back from your life.
Yeah.
Um, and there's people that were early in their careers that that's all been halted. You at least had a job. Tell me about what it's been like transitioning now, working from home. You live in the city, right? What's the city
Hmm.
like, man? I mean, obviously it's one of the most popular metropolitans on the West Coast, and now it's like people aren't allowed to go outside. What is San Francisco like now in 2020 December, almost in 8 9 months after the initial work from home order happened?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's tough. For me, being stuck inside to work is tough. I thrive in group environments,
Yeah.
but I mean, luckily, I live with housemates that I
Hmm.
really enjoy living with,
Yeah.
so it's not as bad. And that's kind of been my mindset all of 2020. Like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be put into a good position where a lot of other people haven't. So, kind of more just counting my blessings from that perspective. But SF, I mean, in the beginning it was like a fucking ghost town. It was insane how no one was going out. Everyone was kind of following orders, and I think you've seen it now get to the point where people are starting to be a little bit more on the selfish side when they go out.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people, and I get tested pretty often, but
For what
seeing people
purpose?
go to go see my parents.
Mm.
Like I've gone on a couple of trips with friends, and we all
Hmm.
get tested 2 to 3 days before, and then just
Hmm.
isolate at home until we go.
Yeah.
And so, but I've done everything trying to take precautions. What I've done, but you start to see people getting fed up with the life that they have to live right now.
Laziness.
And yeah, you see like
It's laziness though. We all got to do this, and it's people just yeah. Go ahead though.
yeah, I mean, you just look at like a restaurant and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I don't care if it's outside, man. I mean, like, if
Right.
you got your mask off and everyone's within, a couple feet of each other, it's still, I think it's nerve-wracking. I don't know how people do it with like no thought. Even when we
Yeah.
go to the park, we kind of want to separate ourselves from everybody, but you can kind of see, people start to get lazy, or they, get a little bit selfish, and they're not really looking at the bigger picture. Like I
Hmm.
said, and I've probably been I've probably been guilty of doing that too, as
Yeah.
much of the precautions that I want to take.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just such an American thing, like it's not human nature. It's very American to think like I'm going to do what I want and no one's going to tell me differently, because I don't see the impact that I have on other people. Whereas I think in a lot of other countries, you see like people think of their neighbor before they think of themselves. And that's why they've been able to kind of contain this a little bit more. Um, obviously the country's leadership has a lot to do with that, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Other people want to say otherwise.
Yeah.
They're more than welcome to, but that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think maybe even a little bit of a California thing, like we're spoiled, we're selfish.
Hmm.
So you kind of see that, I think, at times trickle out.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that we weren't going to come off any of these orders until we came up with a vaccine anyway. So,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what it's looking like now.
How's your work been affected? I know you said mentally you miss being around people, but numbers, they dropped off. Have you been able to figure out a routine that works for you yet, or are you just really clamoring to get back in the office?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just because it's harder for me. That's not like an excuse for me to just say like, this is why I'm not working as hard. Like
Yeah.
I've still been able to kind of climb the ladder because I'm taking the initiative to ask for new things that I want to take on.
Yeah.
And they're giving me those responsibilities and giving me a title with it as
Mm.
well. And so yeah, I mean, work production, like I still stay productive even now more so than I maybe when I was in the office, because I just have more projects to work on.
Yeah.
So like the diversifying in my day-to-day activities has really helped me because I can work on different things, and it keeps me busy for like 9, 10, 11 hours a day, you know? But yeah, I mean, still at the end of the day, you still miss being in the office with the team. I'll still be just as busy when I go back.
Yeah.
I just get to run around the office rather than just do everything from my desk.
Now you asked me before we started recording, but I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like I think I'm a closet introvert. Like I
Mm,
actually low key appreciated the social distancing from some of my coworkers. I realized how much more efficient I've been able to be with my job.
mm.
I don't, getting stopped on my way in between, going to the bathroom or going back to my desk or picking up my food. I don't have to stop and have that conversation with people. It's not like I don't care about them. It's when I'm at work, I just rather get my job done and get the F out of
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm
Well, see,
saying? I
that's the
don't,
thing. That's the thing about you too, though, is like
uh,
you're such a funny, outgoing type of dude
yeah.
that people kind of feel comfortable around you.
Telling me
So,
anything about
so,
everything.
so that's what I'm saying is like, even though you're a closeted introvert, you come
Yeah.
off as someone that's very like, like they want you, like they want to be your friend.
Yeah.
So like you constantly, like everyone, I remember like when we came in, even the interns, when the new interns, but the old interns, like they were already giving you hella shit.
Hella
They were
shit. No,
like,
just no respect.
like there was like, yeah, I was like, oh, I was like, what the fuck, y'all been here all year or what?
Yeah.
Like, how long you
Yeah.
guys known this guy for?
Yeah.
And so I could see how that kind of gets you like stuck in that. But also at the same time, like I feel like I've seen in your stand up, like you kind of mentioned things like that. You've built some parts of your stand up around like shit people do at work that is different from what you feel comfortable with, like having
Yeah.
dogs in the office, or
Hate it.
like working at a maybe a predominantly white tech company,
Right.
and people, not a lot of people from Oakland
Right.
culture and all that kind of stuff. So I can see
It's
how just in that sense too, you want to just kind of separate yourself and just like be around
yeah.
people that fit who you really want to be around,
Right.
because we get to pick our friends. We don't get to pick our coworkers.
Right. And I mean, probably a lot of it is my fault, but at work, I put on a mask,
Yeah.
and that shit gets exhausting after a while. So the idea of like happy hours, for example, is like, so I got to put in overtime and being work ox, being corporate ox,
Yeah.
that, and then
Yeah.
mixing liquor like that. I mean, that mask is coming off.
Yeah.
Couple tequila shots
Yeah, for
in,
sure. For
I'm not
sure.
gonna be the guy. Oh my gosh, I don't want to
Yeah.
frighten anybody.
Yeah. I got you.
So I mean, a little bit is probably self-imposed, but yeah, man. To answer your question before we start recording, I've liked this a lot, to be honest.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of time to focus on myself. Now that I live with roommates for the first time, I have people that I can kind of bounce ideas off of and just chop it up with, and I'm not lonely now. PlayStation 4 was a huge come up for myself, just playing a lot of Madden and
You know, there's a 5, right?
I don't have the PS5. I don't need a P. I don't need it. I don't need a PS5 in my life, man. I have an addictive personality. I'll never get up and do anything that I actually want to do. But it's been nice to like listen to myself and not surround myself around energy that I don't really necessarily appreciate. Because as friendly as I was at the office, there's only like a very few people that I really 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 fucked with. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
obviously
of
you're one
course.
of those
There's
people,
levels.
right? There's levels, right? And so it's just maybe and that's probably my fault. Yeah, that's my fault though. At the end of the day,
That's fair though. I mean, that's just like anything. There's definitely levels to this shit. Like, I mean, you can like everybody. I like a lot of
I
people,
love
and I
everybody.
don't.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I necessarily that I'm not gonna be on the same vibe as every single person. You know, like every single person in the company, I can get along with most people, but that doesn't mean like I'm gonna spend my weekends with you.
It
Doesn't mean
takes
like
it takes work to connect with these people, whereas the ones that you actually really fuck with, it's just
yeah,
natural. You know what I'm
that's a good
saying? You
point.
don't gotta
Yeah,
come up with some jargon because you do it for your job, right? You gotta connect with
yeah.
your customers, and it's like a sales role every day, and it just it you don't want to always have to have that turned on all the time.
Yeah, I got you on that for sure.
Right.
That's a super good point. Like I feel like there are people that I work with right now that I could actually go out and I can get a drink with and I could hang out and and have fun. But
Yeah.
there are other people at work that I talk to. It's just like if I didn't work with you, like we probably wouldn't be friends. And that's nothing against their character. It's
No,
just like
no.
we are just different people.
Right.
You know, like we like enjoy different things. It's the same reason why you probably wouldn't talk to me out, on the street, But I feel like I realized that with you pretty early. Like I knew like we were definitely on a similar vibe. I
Yeah.
feel like the way we talked to each other. It wasn't one of those things where like I was just being an annoying intern and
No.
then you had to just kind of laugh off the jokes. Because I feel like I saw that from some of the
Oh my
interns
God, yo, but I
where
had to though. I
I know
had
where I was
to
like,
though.
where they would just say some shit, and then you would just be like, you'd be like, ah, yeah, man, like, I don't even be doing this. Like, I can see how that's exhausting for sure. And but in their mind, they're like, dude, yeah, me and Ox, we're hella cool, bro. Like all this type of stuff, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, bro, this dude wants to slit his fucking throat, bro. That's crazy.
Hey man, I'm gonna keep it a beam with you. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Uh, I really like that was a dream come true being able to work with interns, man. Because
Yeah.
in full honesty, I've had so much help in my life. I've recognized I've had so many more opportunities maybe than certain other people that were born in the same exact circumstances as me,
Hmm.
and I recognize the advantages of that gave me, and I want to do nothing more than pass that forward. I want to help. Yeah, I had so much pressure. I graduated college and I cried because I didn't have a job. I had to move back home. I thought I'd failed. I
Yeah.
didn't want anybody to have to go through that. And so, if I have to bullshit a conversation or fake a laugh here or there to help get my point across to somebody, I'll do that. Just at the end of the day, I wanted to give y'all as much game as possible. And it was easy working with interns versus like, you know, I don't know, kids in a different circumstances because you guys all wanted to be successful at the end of the day, right? So y'all are
Yeah.
already listening. So that
Yeah.
was it was very that was one of the most fulfilling jobs I've ever had. Working at Procore so far.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I mean, that's why people ask me. I'm actually like, I've been seeing a therapist and we've been
Hmm.
talking about various things, right? And then she was asking, like, well, would you ever give time for yourself? And I was like, well, I prefer to be around people. And
Hmm.
I like the aspect of mentoring or coaching or helping other people
Amazing.
grow. And that to me, that's like my therapeutic happiness. Like that's what brings me joy. And she was
Yeah.
just kind of like, she was like, oh yeah, but like, what about time for yourself? And I was like, I don't know what you really mean in that
Yeah.
aspect because for me, I've always thought about my outlets of joy being something involving other people or helping other people. And so, I mean, and what you said is true. I feel like, I don't know where I heard it, but I just heard this like 2 days ago and someone said like, there's no such thing as a self-made man,
Mm.
self-made person,
Hmm.
just because at some point someone had to kind of bet on you or give you the chance, right? Like you could have worked your whole life, but someone had to give you the acceptance or someone had to give you the job offer to like kind of open that door.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Procore did like you and like the intern program itself. I feel like where the sales preparation may have fell a little bit short,
Hmm.
the intern program itself was very prepared
Mm.
because you can't prepare the sales breakdown in the summer. You can only control what you can control. So I felt
Yeah.
like you guys did a really good job of that. Like, I feel like it was fun. Like, it was fun to work there, and I learned a lot. So if you could get that combination, like 10 times out of 10, I feel like the job is exactly what you needed it to be.
That's all I needed to hear. We can cancel the rest of the interview now. That's all I needed
Yeah,
to hear.
right
I
now,
did a
man.
good job. All right, man.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
That's a lot better than what the Raiders are about to do. Shit, I had to say it at some point. They're one of the biggest pretenders out there right now, man. I just wanted to say that, like, while we're recording, because they're like what? They're like 7-6 right now, something like that. Like, they're like playing, like, they're so average, and that's why I
Tim,
said,
people
like,
are dying, and you're worried about. You're worried about the. Listen. I'm here for beast mode. I'm here for. I,
What's funny is Beast Mode said, they said, oh, like, what would get you to come back? Oh, we got to be a Super Bowl guaranteed team, which means that he wouldn't even go to the Raiders.
no, he
As
would.
loyal as he
Okay,
is to the
what
Raiders,
is
like, he's
what
like,
is what are you? Does this make you happy? Are you a Niner
it
fan?
kind of makes me, because no, I'm not a Niner fan. I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm just in the dirt as much as
Oh, let's
you.
open this conversation up.
I would also just like to say, though, in 2 years, like, Justin Herbert's going to be blowing the Raiders out of the water every.
Why are you still talking about us? Listen, let's talk. Don't. What about Carson Wentz? You just signed him to a $1 trillion contract. He's never going to see the field again.
Hey, we won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. You went to a Super Bowl 19 years ago. 19, was it 19?
You're insufferable.
Let's measure
Insufferable.
winning records.
You
In the
sound like a
19 years.
Steelers fan. We have more championships. Like, you sound like a Steelers guy. Oh my
But in
god.
recent years, we've still been better than the Raiders.
The Eagles are the worst team in the worst division right now.
Yeah.
Joe, so what are we talking about?
You can say the worst team. We're not the worst team.
You are the worst team in the worst division. Tell me those two things. Thank you.
No. Actually, you know what? I would still say, regardless of record, the Cowboys are a worse team than the Eagles.
What do you mean, regardless of record? You're the worst team in the worst division.
No, I'm saying pure talent, we're better than the Cowboys.
All right, we can go on and on. Listen, we got to wrap this up soon. Let's go with. So it's been 7 years since
I'm sorry to all the Raiders.
You know what? You've ostracized half the people that were going to listen to your podcast. Now they don't want to listen to your podcast. All right, listen. What's a dream guest or guest you would have on the podcast?
Besides Ox Turner?
I'm not doing that shit no more. So rap on. You've lost me, son.
Shoot. I mean, that's a great question. Any person to be on the podcast, I feel like right off the bat, it has to be someone that's like funny and personable, but also can give you a lot of good, like, golden nuggets.
So you just described me. Who's somebody else then?
I mean, like, Obama would be great. Like, I mean, I guess even playing field, like, apples and oranges in terms of, your guys' resumes, but
accomplishments.
That's a great question, man.
And what the topic would be? What were you like in your 20s and 30s?
I feel like it would have to be looking back. I feel like if you picked someone like of whatever stature of the guest where I would choose, like any guest, it would have to be based around what they did in their 20s, what they would do differently, or like the lessons that they've kind of learned to kind of get them where they are at. Because you can't bring on some huge celebrity and not dive into, okay, what really made you successful? Like, what really got you there? What were the little details that people don't see other than the content that you put out? So there's a lot.
Justin, I'm telling you, everybody loves talking about themselves. So reach out to these fools. Let them tell you no.
Hey, Michelle Obama, and
no, you should go start lower. Go Malia, who's in their 20s. Malia and Sasha.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I'll have to get that screen.
They're way easier to reach out to, I bet, than Obama, than Barack. I mean,
okay. Regardless, actually, I don't know. I feel like they're all closed off options.
You got to go with their cousin though. You got to go with like Jamal Obama. You know what I'm saying? Just you got to start up. You got to start lower on the totem pole.
The forgotten one that probably has imposter syndrome because Unc was the president and no one knows who I am.
Right.
And people probably make jokes about him
of
because
course.
his last name's Obama and is like, oh, are you related? And it's actually,
Yeah, what have you
So
done
I
with your
think
life?
for me, it'd have to be someone that I think I would want, if I interviewed someone that at least had some level or some platform of fame, it would have to be someone that I know.
Mm,
I would want that little bit more of that deeper connection, someone
mm,
that's really doing their thing, but I could still sit back and have like a great conversation with them. So
mm.
that's kind of hard, man. I can't really put a name on that, but I feel like it would be dope to interview like a Matthew McConaughey or like a Samuel L. Jackson. I feel like there's a lot of life stories and lessons to be learned from people like that.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. I would say my top two would either be Denzel Washington or Robin Williams.
Denzel Washington, Robin Williams. Well, you can't get Robin, but yeah, you can still get Denzel.
Thanks, man. I thought we were just talking about a live or dead. But
Hypothetically, I'm
yeah, if I had to choose Denzel, yeah, I feel like he would give me a lot to learn from.
so I'm 7 years removed from college. You're 1 year at this point. Um, where do you hope to be sitting in 7 years? Do you hope to be sitting in a room with boxes still piled up behind you like me, or where is Justin sitting in 7 years? Are you still in the sales world? Are you still in the Bay Area? Are you still have no kids? Like what?
7 years at 31. I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, I guess, saying it, but I mean, I really want the world. And what that means is it's very open ended. So, like, when people say that, it's whatever you define as you want the world. So, for me, it's it's doing the things that I want to do, but also elevating the people around me. So whether I'm still working in tech at that point, hopefully I'm in product management. Right now I've kind of shifted over to business operations, and
Mm-hmm.
the first step is to become a manager there. But I really want to do what I can to help the company I'm at right now wish. And so hopefully they grow me into a position where I'm going to be ready to go out on my own. I don't know what that's going to entail, but eventually I would like to be working for myself and not working for, a paycheck from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm expecting, have some investment properties, hopefully have someone that I can call at least a future wife. Um, but making money helping other people would be a really big accomplishment for me. If I could do something where I'm getting paid to help people figure life out or whatever it is, I think that would be super dope. That would make me really happy. I would feel like that's one job I don't think I'd ever get tired of. And so that might be something I do along in conjunction with something else. But yeah, you'll still see me in the Bay probably. I'll still be in California. Um, a little older, a little wiser, a little richer.
Hopefully.
But I think the investments will pay off and I'll be happy.
Hey man, happiness is uh happiness is a mindset, man.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think there's anything that really could happen. I mean, knock on wood. I don't think. I mean, like I said, life will throw me a bunch of stuff, but I think at the end of it, I should see myself, you know, taking it in stride and just kind of going with whatever, I need to do to get past it. So
Yeah. Good man. Hey man, I appreciate getting to catch up with you, bro. It's been too long. I apologize. I haven't been a good friend. My bad.
yeah, I came to you last time, so yeah,
You no, you
so
did. This is on me. I apologize,
there's been
man.
like two or three different DMs, like, yo, bro, I'm coming back to the
I
Bay, like,
know. I
so what's
already I
good?
already apologized, bro. What more do you need from me, man?
That's just words, bro. I need action. I need like you apologize. I'm sorry I haven't been seeing you. It's like what's a good way to apologize? Maybe come see me, shit.
Listen, here's my problem. It's been a New Year's resolution of mine for the last 2 years, but I want to be talk to people that I like more. It's like it.
That's how you started off, and you started the first thing you said is I apologize for being a bad friend and not talking to you. And then you say, I've been making it a point to talk to people I like. So what's up? You don't fuck with me or what?
Do you know? No, what I'm trying to say it's still not it's still a thing that I work on, man. I'm working on it. My thing is like if it's not in front of me, then it kind of just it's out of sight, out of mind. But it's not I don't
Mm,
care, you know what I'm saying? But it's
yeah,
like I want to talk to my grandma more, my folks back home, my friends, and that's one thing this pandemic has helped me do is talk to people that I actually fuck with more. So you know
yeah.
what? I'm sorry, Justin. I'm sorry.
I accept your apology.
All right, bro. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
I
you
am
too.
proud of you, though. Keep grinding. It's inspiring to me. Thank you.
Thanks, G. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've been asking to be on this for the last 2 years, and so I'm glad I finally
Don't gas it.
finally got a feature.
Yes,
So
sir.
enjoy the game, bro. I'll see you. I'll see you around. Hope if they don't win, I'm gonna message you now, and it's the
Cutting it.
first thing
I'm
I'm gonna
cutting it.
say.
I'm cutting. I'm done. I'm done with the conversation. I'm cutting it.